It's time now for the message from the morning man. I hope you're ready. And today's message is called Chocolate Diaries. You know, life is a constant forward march. I've been trying to embrace that recently by doing a little self-assessment, It's caused me to be extremely brutal and honest with myself, identifying my flaws and trying to understand why I do things the way I do. Now, in that process, I've gained some great insights about my own personality. The first insight I had was about perhaps one of my worst flaws: impatience. I have no patience. When I was barely 4 years old, a family friend brought my mother a gift. It was the biggest bar of chocolate I had ever seen, about half my height at the time, the size of a bar of key soup. Now, the moment I set my eyes on it, I wanted to eat it so badly. But my mother wouldn't allow it. She said we would all have a piece in a few weeks' time at Christmas. A few weeks? How on earth was I supposed to wait that long? My mother must have seen the look of desperate craving on my face because she placed the chocolate bar in a suitcase on top of the wardrobe in her and my father's bedroom. Now, I remember watching her with the strangest feeling of desperation and deprivation, which I now recognize to be impatience. Why was she putting it all the way up in her suitcase? I was barely 2 feet tall, so there was no way I was going to reach it up there. Or so she thought. That evening, while everyone was watching TV, I snuck into their bedroom. I moved the two bedside stands and placed them next to each other. Then I brought a plastic chair from the kitchen and placed it on top of the two stands. And then I climbed on top of the whole precarious pile to open the suitcase and pull out the chocolate bar. I then sat right there on the chair, unwrapped the extension board sized bar of goodness and just started munching away. Of course, I was caught. I was caught in the act, at which point I burst into tears from the sheer embarrassment of it all. Standing there with my sticky little fingers wrapped around the chocolate bar and tears streaming down my face while my parents and older sister laughed and took pictures. Now, I know I may have been too young to understand all the complexities of my shameful situation then, but I definitely remember thinking that brief taste of chocolate was definitely not worth the hassle that followed. So that was that. That was the end of my criminal career, but definitely not the end of my impatience. And my dear friends, I can tell you today that almost every mistake I have ever made since can be traced directly or indirectly to impatience. You name it, from my health to my marriage to my career to major investments and life-changing decisions. Anytime I've got it wrong, it was because I simply refused to wait. I saved for years to buy my dream car. At the first time, an Audi A4 S-Line twin turbo that could do 0 to 60 in 5 seconds flat. Look, I dreamt about that car, and the minute I had enough for the deposit, I walked into the dealership and I bought the car. I couldn't wait another minute. Guess what? The very next week, Audi released a new model, and the price of the old model that I had just bought was slashed by almost 40%. I couldn't believe how much I had lost just by being impatient. And you see, the problem is, I want results now. I can't stand bureaucracy of any kind. Some people have suitcases full of new clothes that they have never worn. Me? When I buy anything, I wear it the very next day. I can't bear queues. I can't abide conversations that don't go straight to the point. I just don't understand how people can deliberately do things to delay the final result. Why? Why don't you want it now? Well, as I mature, I have begun to slowly understand why. You see, good things take time. Time allows thought. And thought leads to discernment. And discernment is the essential ingredient of good decisions. And my dear friends, you can never have too much discernment. This job has taught me that. Here at JoyNews, we know that it's better to be right than to be first to break the news. And that is why Ghanaians always say, if we haven't seen or heard it on Joy, then it's not yet true. That is the result of patience. And it's a key part of what we do here, which is why you are all known as our discerning audience. So, even though I have struggled with patience in my personal life, I have clear evidence of its value in my professional life. And today I want us all to resolve together that whatever we're doing, whatever we're pursuing, whatever we're applying for or aiming at, we will take a minute, we will pause, and we will think it through a little bit. Sometimes, deliberately delaying the end result is the best favor we could ever do to ourselves. Instant gratification is just that, instant. And it's often followed by regret, as the fullness of time reveals the folly of our haste. My name is Kojo Yankson. First, thought, then action. That's the process, and I will not be rushed through it. Good morning, Ghana.